So next we have Laura Di Giacomo, who is an environmental sustainability consultant. And we've met Laura at a conference in Oxford where she was presenting around work she'd done with a primary school on School Street. So I'm going to bring Laura to the stage now and her presentation. And hopefully Laura will be able to take you through what we found very interesting.
Okay. Okay. Good morning. Yes, my name is Laura Di Giacomo, and today I'm going to talk to you about the importance of support measures in school street schemes. And I'm showing the case of St. Tabs Primary School in Oxford. St. Tabs is the school where my kids go, and I have to say I am also a convinced cyclist. I also work as active travel champion in the school when the school street scheme was launched. Next slide, please. Thank you. No, the previous one, please. Yes, thank you. St. Tabs School is located in Northrow Road in the center of Oxford. Next slide, please. I don't know how to move it. Yes, thank you. It welcomes around 180 families from a vast area, and 52 of which live more than 1 kilometer from the school. Next one, please. The traffic situation at drop-off and pick-up time was horrible. The school is very narrow. There are cars parked on both sides, and unfortunately, a lot of parents decided to drive the children to school. Air quality, safety, it was just appalling. So it was a very needed and wanted scheme, as we can see. Next slide, please. In the survey that was run across the parents, so around 63 of the families were in favor of a school street scheme, and only 16% of the responses were against a school street scheme. Next. Thank you. So we've gotten even some quotes for parents saying the pollution outside St. Tabs is appalling, but the main issue is safety. I myself have been nearly knocked off my bike close to St. Tabs by a driver. And another parent said, we would like our older children to go to school on their own, but the current traffic situation in White House Road does not allow this. So when the school street scheme was launched in 2021, for the first 6 weeks of trial, there were strict pass criteria for the family who wanted an exemption pass. There was a rota of really motivated volunteers managing the barrier, and a support measure called the Park and Stride was set up. And basically, parents could park for free at a car park that is within the 5-minute walking bubble. The road was really transformed. Everybody seems to be happy, and it was just wonderful. Next slide, please. So after the first 6 weeks trial, the second trial started, but unfortunately the situation changed dramatically, and the school started facing some unexpected challenges. So what was happening? In reality, so actually the parents during the first 6 weeks didn't really engage with the motive. Basically, they just were holding on, waiting for the trial to finish and just go back to the previous habits. So let me quote Elizabeth Fisher in the book Environmental Law. Basically, people, including me in this case, parents, never thought it was due to their own car. So the only support measure in place, the park and stride, was not working, and the situation became very soon confrontational between parents and school, and the school find itself in a conflict of interest because it was acting as a gatekeeper. Next one, please. So the consequences were that there was a constant flow of parents asking the school for exemption. The school had to loosen the initial very strict criteria and allowed more than 50 cars through the barrier. For this reason, the volunteers started to get really frustrated because because of the number of cars going through every day, and they didn't find the school street scheme being very effective, and therefore the school street scheme was on the verge of collapse. This is This is when the school decided to appoint an active travel champion, me, using a grant provided by the city council. In my role, I had to address the parents that were finding difficulties with the school street scheme and help them to find alternative solutions to driving the kids to school. What I propose is to set up and create a portfolio of hands-on support. So, next slide, please. So the question is, why this confrontation situation happened? What wasn't working? So in reality, the park and stride was a good idea, but the work takes too long when you have small children with you, and that wasn't really a viable solution for working parents. And as a parent in school, it was pretty clear. It was clear to me that there was a considerable amount of parents that were living at the cycling distance, but they didn't know how to cycle. They had never learned to cycle, or they were too unconfident to do so. So in the first months of in my position, I set up a bike library, absolute beginner course for children and parents, a bike bus, a walking bus, and free breakfast club was offered. All these support measures were set up in collaboration with the community in the school, myself, my family, and the school itself. Meanwhile, more than 20 parents contacted me for a pass, and just explaining them the reason why the school street scheme was important for all the children, and offering them the first support measure that I had already put in place. 2/3 of them just withdrew their request. The outcomes of the support measure were through the 4 absolute beginner cycling courses that were run using the bikes from the bike library. We were able to train up to 24 between kids and parents, either to learn to cycle or to get back to their bikes. 8 families can now cycle to school. 6 families are currently using bikes and a bike trailer from the bike library. And up to 8 children were using the walking bus. So in January 2023, it was announced the ANPR cameras were coming into operation after 18 months of trialing the scheme, thanks to volunteers. We still had 60 cars on the white list, with 20 of them regularly going through the barrier every day. So we started working more closely with the Oxford County Council. We asked them to act as a third party and helping defining strict exemption criteria to revisit all the passes on the white list and to be responsible for issuing passes. So I personally communicate with every single driver that was going through the barrier every morning, explaining them all the support measures that were in place. And when the camera went live, there was no confrontational situation at all. So let me conclude now. I found the process incredibly fascinating. So on one side, it wasn't really true the parents weren't willing to change. They were willing, they just needed help, they just needed support, they just needed an additional help to knock down the barrier that stopped them to engage with the mode shift. And on the other hand, being able to go and talk to the parent with a range of really practical alternatives turn a very confrontational situation into a positive and an accepted escape. So now I thank you, and I leave you with a nice picture of the bike shed of the school.
Thank you, Laura. I think it's fascinating seeing Laura, because we've heard her talk before about what is actually needed to, develop a school street, the amount of work that goes into it. So yeah, thank you for that.